Hello, folks. It is August, but alas, we're here to talk about AEW Dynamite for July 30th, 2024 edition. I'm Joe Love. Thank you guys all for joining me today on the podcast. So, my apologies first and foremost for not getting up a review last week for AEW Blood and Guts. Schedule got hectic last week, but last time here to discuss Dynamite for you guys. So, there's that. And quick notion, so for my fans, or watchers, I should say, of WWE, or SummerSlam rather. So, Saturday is SummerSlam. So, I will probably have a review up, say, Sunday, Monday-ish, but last I will have a review up for you folks, so stay tuned for that. But last we talked about Dynamite, which I thought was a decent show. Had some very good stuff on it as we gear towards All In. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. The card lineup is certainly fun, filled with story-driven and fun stuff to look forward to. And, of course, All In, here's the thing. Last year, with All In, it was a novelty. 8,000 plus fans. But the thing is, there wasn't much story substance going into the show. With this story going into, with this edition, All In, it's not going to have 8,000. It will, at best, have a little over 50K, which is still a solid number, but is obviously not what last year was. But in essence, with this card and the story going into it, it definitely looks better as far as booking is concerned. So that's much appreciated, because you look at the card so far. Swerve versus Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson, which, by the way, Bryan and Swerve, they had a heck of a segment on Dynamite last night. But yeah, Swerve and Bryan for the world title. Bryan, we know, is on the downslope of his full-time career. So, this is really his last crack at the world title. It really seems to be, if not now, never. And Bryan won the Owen. He won the Owen Hart Cup tournament. And yeah, Swerve has had a heck of a run. Beat Samoa Joe to win the title, beat Christian Cage, beat Will Ospreay. Certainly has had a good run. Question is, will it end at Wembley? We shall see, because it's certainly going to be interesting. Because with All Out being a few weeks later, and then Grand Slam is on September 25th. which here's the kicker, or here's certainly one to think about. So Darby Allin last week was a big part of Blood and Guts last week with Team AEW versus the Elite. And what happens? He ends up being a part of Royal Rampage and wins Royal Rampage, the 2-ring battle royal, to ultimately earn a AEW World Title shot at Grand Slam. So it's like, well, what do we do from there? You know, Bryan, Swerve versus Darby, Bryan versus Darby, you know, we'll have to see. But yeah, we got a heck of a world title match. Tony Storm, Brian May. What else can you say? You know, again, stemming from the Owen. Only this time, you know, the story of these two has been played a lot the last few minutes, where Tony Storm was the teacher grooming Mariah May, and Mariah May talked about where she latched on to Tony Storm, she got closer ultimately until the time was right to snap and attack her the way she did after being Willow to win the Owen for the women, lay up Tony Storm in the way she did, and now has her sights set on taking Tony Storm's title at Wembley. We'll see. MJF and Will Ospreay has been building nicely the last few weeks on the heels of MJF brutalizing Daniel Garcia. And the way MJF talked about Daniel Garcia on Wednesday, I wonder if we'll see Garcia at Wembley play a pivotal role in this match with MJF and Ospreay. I mean, months ago, I think before the Owen was announced, I think people had it in their minds, me included, where Ospreay would be crowned at Wembley, the world champion. Now, it's not a world title match, but it's as big as it can get with MJF and Ospreay. And it's great to see. It's great to see. And the way that opened well on the show, much appreciated. Mercedes and Britt. How that's been building for last few weeks now since Forbidden Door, Britt's return. This is as star-studded as a match you could do right now for the women. And it's going to be fun to see. It's great to see. And then Jack Perry and Darby, you know, stemming from Double or Nothing up until now. You have two of the pillars, or one pillar and one. Yeah, two of the pillars. And it's going to be great to see. It's Yeah, but so far we can definitely say the build going into this year's All-In is leaps and bounds better than how it went last year. Because last year, besides MJF and Adam Cole, there wasn't really much build outside of that. So, great to see. So yeah, let's talk about some of the stuff that happened on Dynamite. So, MJF started out on Dynamite addressing the crowd, having the AEW American Championship. It's great to see because now his Titantron, it's red, white, and blue. The Burberry scarf. The simple stuff, but great to see. For his music, he was out there, cut a nice promo again. Heel MJF is where it's at. It's just great to see. And then afterwards, because Will Ospreay, slated to fight Lance Archer, he came out a couple words on MJF and proceeded for the introduction of Lance Archer, and to which they had a hell of a match. These two guys have history. Again, if there was one guy on AEW's roster that I really do wish was booked better, be Lance Archer. But we see him so softly now on AEW TV. We don't see him lots focus on AEW TV. That's how it is. But this slated to be a good match, and was. And Ospreay got the win in a hard-fought battle. And yeah, Ospreay versus MJF is going to be fun at Wembley. Question is, who is going to win? And do we see Daniel Garcia? Because, again, they have a pay-per-view a couple weeks after. You need to build some matches going into that. Some substance. And very easily you could do Daniel Garcia costs MJF, and we get that match. So, Ospreay beat Archer in a heck of a match. Afterwards, MJF went to the attack on Ospreay, which prompted Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis to run out there, and Kyle Fletcher to defend the honor of his friend, Will Ospreay. And Fletcher was preaching to Callis that, yes, Ospreay is no longer a member of the family, but he's still very much his friend, and Kyle Fletcher and Ospreay. So, Kyle Fletcher cut a interesting promo on MJF. We know Kyle Fletcher can go. That's not a question. It's about, we don't really hear him talk much, and for the most part, he's been a part of the tag team with Aussie Open, with Mark Davis. Mark Davis is still on the sideline, but doesn't stop Fletcher from putting on good matches. So, Fletcher called out MJF for a fight. MJF said, not on your terms. We're going to do it on mine. So, next week, MJF, Kyle Fletcher. Looks to be a fun match to look forward to next week. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We had the Learning Tree. Yeah, hi guys. So, the Redwood Big Bill gave Jericho a present or a cake because celebrating 102 days as FTW champion. Which, I mean, look. I think Jericho knows because, look, this gimmick I don't mind. It's just the title, again, that's another thing people don't really get, is this title, why it just adds to another title on TV, which we don't need. And Brian Keith said something, but yeah. The Acclaimed been backstage with Billy Gunn, and again, they still have a guaranteed title shot with up against the Young Bucks. When it'll be, I have to assume Wembley is the logical destination because, yeah, the Young Bucks, honestly, since they won the titles at Dynasty from FTR, it's like they have not defended these titles. It's baffling. So it's like, it's sad to say, but this may be one of the worst reigns in AEW. It's just how it is. But do we get Young Bucks and the Acclaim? We know FTR, they want the titles as well. So, I don't know. We'll see. But if the Young Bucks don't lose the titles at all, and then it's like, what? It's like, seriously, their runs have been crap. Or this run has been crap. Chris Statlander versus Will Nightingale. I hate to say it, but in the eliminator match, it's like, why? A title match is much more meaningful than an eliminator match. Point. It's simple. So, Statlander won here. It was a fine match. But really, I think people are annoyed by the term eliminator match. I mean, again, it's like, why why you call out for an eliminator match instead of a title match? It's like, really? But, and besides, this feud, I have to believe they're going to have a match at All In. It's simple, this feud has been fun. Perhaps a stipulation match is on the horizon. So, goes there at Wembley. It's a good thing you take notes. So, Bryan Danielson, he was out there, talked about present and promises. Talked about his neck, talked about being all in, talked about his career, talked about Goosebumps being there. Swerve Strickland, he confronted Bryan Danielson, praised him for being one of the best to ever do it, but also said that Swerve said that he promises Bryan's not going to walk out of Wembley as champion. And said, as well, he may never walk again when he's done with them. But key thing in here was Bryan said that if he does not win at Wembley, he will never wrestle again. And they shook on it. So, for all intents and purposes, I think this all but confirmed, sadly, that Bryan's going to get his moments at Wembley. We know Bryan wants to wrestle until he's what? 70? He's going to take a part-time schedule at the end of this year. It's just, with all leading into it and trying to make it a bigger match, I don't see. It's hard now seeing Swerve win this match. It's just hard to see him win this match. Because yes, Swerve and Eggman is a build-up match that could take place at All Out and at Grand Slam. But yeah, Bryan, I don't know how long his reign will be, but last night made me feel more confident that Bryan is going to walk out of Wembley as champion. And that's going to be a hell of a moment. It's just a hell of a moment. And then Bryan, so last week in an interview, Jeff Jarrett told Bryan he needs to be all in for this match. And Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal and company, they were celebrating with Bryan backstage saying that's how you should go all in. So Bryan got serious and Jeff Jarrett was like, you want to see how all in I am? Then meet me in the ring next week. So we got Jeff Jarrett versus Bryan Danielson next week. Should be a fun match, and it is certainly interesting how they're building in Jeff Jarrett in this. I mean, it's like originally Jarrett was a sympathetic figure for the Owen Hart Cup because, of course, he's friends with Owen Hart, and they were tag team champions, and this whole do it for Owen stuff, and then he loses, and then he helps Bryan win the Owen, and then now we're here. So, it's interesting. This is certainly the most interesting stuff they've done with Jeff Jarrett. This pretty much ever in AEW. I will say that. Brian May, she had to sit down with Renee Paquette. Basically, Renee wanted more of an explanation of why she did what she did to Tony, and wasn't really much of an explanation. It was just more of the same, but the match is going to be... Again, we still have a few weeks until Wembley, but this match is going to be on fire. On fire. And then Tony, in a short thing on stage, talked about, Mariah May said she loved her, and Tony said, I loved you. And then Tony said, sometimes you have to bring whatever you love close to, so that it kills you. And Tony said that at Wembley it's going to be a romance of a bloody lifetime. And it wasn't black and white. It was just Tony in their rawest form. Tony as, broken down, kind of distraught and stressful going into Wembley. We can't wait for the match. It's going to be fun. Camille. So, last week, Camille attacked Britt Baker in her debut, siding with Mercedes Moné as her heavy. And last night she had a match against, I believe, Brittany James was her name. Anyway, jobber, and she looked good in there. As we know, Camille, big lady, big strong lady, and she can bring it. And Mercedes after cut a promo, and yeah, Britt versus Mercedes is going to be fun. Of course, the thing is, does this lead to Jamie Hayter returning to side with Britt? And we'll see. Because Mercedes talked about, gave a name of a stable of hers. So we'll see if there's more recruits on her horizon. Then the main event, which was a very solid match, I must say. Hangman Adam Page versus Darby Allin. First of all, I must say what Hangman Page has been doing since his return. It's great as a heel. I mean, just him and his, his angriness and his, fighting nature as a heel. It's great. And the mustache, these subtle things, just adds to his presentation. So, a more aggressive side, doesn't want to win, but to maim. We saw it many times in this match against Darby that he wasn't necessarily looking for the win. It was more revenge on Darby and Team AEW's win last week. So, yeah, was interesting. And Darby won the match. I mean, when you looked at this match on paper, you're like, well, you don't want to see either of these guys lose, but the fact is, Darby has a match at Wembley. Hangman Page, after a realization, he can lose because he's only going to get more upset, more angry, and, this just feeds into the character. So, it's interesting because commentary talked about it with Hangman Page went for a buckshot lariat and Darby collapsed. And instead of going for the cover, Hangman put back his feet, looked to inflict more damage, but he got caught. And Darby swept under him, and with an Oklahoma roll, pinned Hangman Page. And that was the match. So, hell of a win for Darby. He wins Blood Guts last week, and then Royal Rampage, and here he beats Hangman Adam Page. I mean, Darby's on a roll. It's interesting to see. So, that was pretty much Dynamite. Now, the thing I also want to talk about, because it got the wrestling world buzzing yesterday. Just one pick, but it's interesting. So, yesterday a pic surfaced of Tony Khan and Shane McMahon having a meeting, and this pic was leaked. Now, a couple weeks ago, Jim Ross said that he would welcome Shane McMahon in AEW, and Mercedes talked about, well, it'd be cool for Shane to be in AEW as well. Tony Khan mentioned that Shane McMahon is welcome, but they haven't had any talks yet, and we don't know how serious it was. I think Shane had made a statement on it after, but you have to believe that this is by design. Now, here's the thing. Tony Khan, as much as we love him for AEW, a glaring thing is that people say from time to time is that he needs a booker, proper booker, because yes, Tony Khan makes a lot of good matches, and yes, the lead into All In, the booking is very good as far as story-wise, but, you know, people will hang their hat on as the ratings, as the big thing that, you know, why people are annoyed with AEW. Either way, as far as watching on screen, you can tell that the booking as of late has been better. Now we shall see. Because, you know, Vince fired his son from WWE. Shane look, there's of course that worried nature of you don't want Shane McMahon to be near AEW because at the end of the day he's a McMahon, and McMahons are associated with WWE. So you wonder, there's that cautiousness I can tell of you don't want him to be there because you worry that it'll terrorize AEW. And it's certainly cautious nature, but you could certainly add to the product. You could certainly add. But we'll see. We'll certainly see. But again, just picture Shane did make a comment on it or a statement on it, but we'll see how it goes going forward. But as for now, guys, thank you all for joining me. That was the podcast for today. Hope you guys enjoy it for my AEW review. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. We're at 60. Let's keep it going. If you like this video as well, leave a like, thumbs up, and yeah. So, Saturday is SummerSlam, and again, either Sunday or Monday, I'll have a review up for you guys, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, thank you guys all. Be safe. See you guys next time. Peace.